Welcome to this episode of the Outsiders Podcast. If you're not following us yet, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, we're out there. Probably saying something that gets us in trouble. Want to support the show? Head to outsidersstudios.com. You'll find membership options, merch, and more ways to stay connected to what we're building. Elect Exiles, Brett's podcast, solid theology, clear thinking, and worth your time. Branden's Substack drops twice a week, Mondays and Fridays. It's where he works out what doesn't always fit in an episode. We've got a lot in the pipeline. Stay tuned, and as always, thanks for listening.
Good evening, everyone.
What?
And welcome
You're overdriving your mic.
to Outsiders Podcast. All the energy is coming from within. I've been holding this in since I got here.
We've been here for an hour.
Yep.
He's literally walked in and
And to
said
my
everything.
front left is Andrew McKinley.
That's me.
Oh, don't do this. Stop it right now.
He's
And
doing
to my
it.
No.
And to my front.
I
No,
need
you
to
got to
mute-
do
I need to
Jim
mute-
next so that the tire doesn't get loose on one side. Or
Oh, yes. And to my right is Jim Cole. And my front is Brett Welty. And to my flat tire over here.
I can make you muted.
Do it.
Okay.
Good luck.
Turns out it works.
I know it does.
Oh, sorry.
And welcome. We are here recording once again. And yeah, how's everybody doing?
I'm in pain.
that's great. That's just,
You want to go on?
Killer radio.
Oh.
Killer radio right
Oh,
You
you're
want to
welcome.
go on?
we
I
got.
am
Does
a-
Bryce have any news from the tumor mill?
Nah. Tumor mill?
I think it's pronounced rumor mill.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't have any news yet.
He didn't have a rumor removed.
Those stay.
Not a mouth-shaped scar on his back because of a rumor.
They look
Maybe.
Like,
You
they
never
look
know.
like lips.
You never know.
Weird.
This is a benign
It's like a
rumor.
VeggieTales thing.
It's a weird scar, dude. Yeah, I don't know. It just hurts.
He's got a back mouth.
I do have a back mouth now.
Mouth back. Sounds like a band, like Smash Mouth.
Smash mouth?
I think we referenced Smash Mouth the last time.
I don't
I feel
remember
like
that.
we did.
I edited
I feel like
that.
it came up.
I edited that not that long ago. I don't
I
remember
feel like
that.
it came up.
I don't remember that.
That might have been off mic.
Maybe it was.
Also, a fever dream, maybe.
I
Just
do have those.
okay. Thank you for
My temperature is 104.
Oh, you should go home.
I'm just kidding. I'm just sunburned. It just feels like
That's just
104.
what the temperature is in general. I'm gonna.
on the top of my
That's
scale.
his heat index.
Well, Andrew, how are you doing?
I'll tell you what. It's hot today.
Yeah,
That's about
that's how. If anyone knows anything about Andrew, it's hot, which means he's sweaty. He was sweaty when he woke up, and he hasn't stopped.
I took a shower like 2 hours ago, and I'm not dry yet.
Well,
What does that mean?
It was like being on a mission trip in the South.
Oh man,
that was
those
the
are so
worst.
bad. Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Yes.
I just want you guys to know there was one night, I say morning, where I woke up at 4 because I thought maybe if I'm up at 4, I can go outside and it won't be so hot.
You were wrong.
I was wrong. It was so hot and so humid at 4 in the morning.
I was told that it was a little cooler down in Florida today than it was here.
Should we take a trip?
I would love to. Just go sit by the beach.
My dislike for Florida is stronger than my dislike for
man.
the heat.
Hey,
Really?
man.
Really? All of Florida?
I don't know, just Miami.
Miami sucks. I mean, we can agree that Miami sucks.
You go up to the upper part of Florida, you know. It's great.
The panhandle.
Panhandle.
We just lost our Florida listeners.
Oh, no. I'm talking them up. I love Florida.
Yeah, Branden
You do.
loves Florida.
I love Florida.
I love everything except for Miami.
Love that Cocoa Beach. I would live in a surf town
Mm.
and be happy. And surf, maybe. Probably not. I'd probably skateboard.
On the water.
Maybe work at Ron John's. Brett, how are you doing?
I'm great. Just fantastic. Thank you for asking.
You have a nice tan, do you?
You
no one would
you
see
do
that.
have a nice tan.
I do.
I'm a little jelly.
Yes, you are.
I got burnt in
that burn
I
filled
got
in.
burnt in
There it was
California.
again.
Let that dog in.
If you guys hear, what?
Thanks,
the-
Caleb.
Oh, I was like, how did that open?
My son.
Harriet has thumbs.
My dog has
She
thumbs.
has an arm that grows from her back.
to go with Bryce's back mouth.
Yeah. To feed Bryce's back.
Ugh.
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Good. Jim, how are you doing?
Been a good day. Got up early, like 6. Went for a walk with my wife.
Nice.
Did softball practice this morning at 8:30.
Oof.
Right. Went to visit my dad. So it's been a good day. It's been full.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Well, Andrew, you have like a love-themed funny for us?
Not even a little bit.
Darn it.
We got a game show.
Ooh.
That-
little bit.
Hold on. Do we have a theme song?
Not yet. No.
Okay, cool.
We're just ripping off.
We need to make one.
This is just
Sure.
like you guys are being like one team on Family Feud.
Okay, hold on.
It's
Brandon,
For points.
you have a goal by the next time I edit, make a theme song for this.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Insert here.
Right here.
No, it's already gone now. We already did it.
Right here.
all right.
So
yeah,
we're all on the same team.
So we're doing. Yeah, you guys are
Are
like
we?
one team on Family Feud. We're doing.
Are we?
This is where they surveyed 100 regular church attenders
Oh.
on Bible questions.
Wait, hold on. What kind of church attenders?
We'll find out.
You have to figure that out as you play. So I'm going to be asking you questions, trivia from the Bible. Maybe the right answer isn't the first one with the most points. You don't know.
Okay.
All right.
That's not a good sign.
Not a good sign.
It's Family Feud.
Yeah.
Oh. Rhinoceros.
That's actually the third one, man.
Is it real?
No.
Unicorn.
I only do animal trivia like 1 out of every 3 of these. So like chill out. All right. So question number 1. What is the first thing God created?
Okay, so the right answer is not always right.
But sometimes
I'm going with it. Light.
Okay.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
Good job. Brett. Good job.
I didn't want to have to think of anything else. I went first.
That's right.
All right, so Jim went first. We'll go this way.
Oh, we
That is the right. That is the number 1
Oh,
answer.
okay.
240 points. Yeah.
Wow.
Way to go.
All right.
100
High
church
five, Jim.
attenders. How many answers are on the board?
So there are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7
Seven
available answers. Yeah.
answers?
There's 6 more
Heavens
wrong
and the
answers.
earth.
6 wrong answers. Okay, then Brandon, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Heavens and the earth.
Heaven is the second answer for 20 points.
Hey, 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 hey.
Good
All right,
job,
Bryce.
Brandon. Man.
That is not on the list.
Xing out. X'd out.
I got it.
I'm going to go heresy. I'm going to say Jesus.
Whoa, no. It's not on the
Oh,
list.
good. So good. Way to go. 100% church attenders. Way to go. Way to not get it wrong. By the way, I do not believe Jesus was created. I just thought that could have been on the board.
I
That's good.
can see where you're
Just
thinking. I
depends on
think
who it
that
is.
the people they surveyed weren't thinking that deep.
I wondered because that's what happened with the Ligonier survey.
All right, so we've
Really?
got one more strike. So back to Jim.
Oh, we have to actually try.
Oh.
Unless you want to just take your 60 points and go.
Well, we've said the light. We said
Heavens and earth.
heaven.
no,
we
just
didn't
said
say
heaven
earth.
so far.
So
Oh,
We
Earth.
said heaven, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going with earth.
That's the third one for 15 points. Yeah.
Jim, let's
Very
go.
good. Kept us alive. Kept us alive. Very good. Very good.
All right, so that's the 3 top answers you have so far.
Let's
Out of-
watch some Family Feud.
I watch a lot of Steve Harvey.
There are 4
Big
more.
fan. Steve Harvey, I know you're listening.
Oh, is it?
That'd be cool.
That'd be nice. You could sponsor us.
That'd be cool.
Maybe.
Suits. Anyway,
All right.
come on. What do you got, Brandon?
What do you got,
You
Brandon?
can't use your tablet.
I'm not. I'm just opening it so I don't have to do it later. Skies.
Yep, there, good answer.
good
Real good answer. Real good answer. Oh, that's not good.
But he
It's
did.
too bad. It's too bad.
He did create them, but I think that
What was that? Oh, water.
Oh,
Fish.
Say
those
water.
would also have been good answers, but not on the board. Fish, we would have put animals was the 4th
Oh.
answer.
Animals.
Oh,
First
yeah.
answer. Okay.
Milk.
Whatever.
Plants, stars, and the moon were also on there.
That doesn't count.
Can I
the
just
moon's not
again
even
say
real.
I'm
These were
glad-
churchgoers.
Yeah,
Oof.
I think so.
I'm just really glad they didn't say Jesus.
That is good.
Yeah.
I don't think in the future we should pick things that we know aren't going to be on there.
Nah,
That's-
fair. That's fair. Good point. Good strategy, Jim. I will agree to it. I was just that disappointed.
Although you
people.
said animals on the first day.
I know. I'm telling you, man. I was disappointed. Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
Wait.
Question 2.
Question.
Round 2.
Fight.
These are finish him.
It's feud, right?
Finish Jim. Are you from Finland? He's Finnish Jim.
Close.
You need to come up with an accent for Finnish Jim.
Yeah.
All right. Name a miracle performed by Jesus.
Ooh, water to wine.
Oh,
Sorry.
Hey,
sorry.
we're supposed to go in order here.
Order what? The first one's
I'm sorry. Yeah, but that's not how it works.
Get the easy one out of the way, right?
Not
If
on
you're on the
Chris.
same team.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Did Bryce take that one?
I guess so.
I mean,
There's a lot of talking at once. That is the number one answer for 30 points.
Wow.
So
I got one. How many answers are on the board?
2, 3, 4. There's 7 again.
Oh my god.
Oh, all right. So we'll go on to Brett.
I got to say, walking on water, Jim.
Oh,
That is answer number 4.
Jim's not the host.
I know. I couldn't think of.
15 points.
Couldn't think of his name.
Gave the blind sight.
Ooh.
Oh, good answer,
Good
good
answer.
answer.
Real good answer. Real good answer.
Healing a blind man's number 3 for 20
Oh my
points.
gosh.
All right,
Let's
beautiful,
go.
beautiful, beautiful.
What is it? The lepers. He healed the leper.
Healing the leper is the last number 7 answer
Hey,
for 1 point.
Well, that's the coolest one.
1 point.
1 point.
Man.
Oh, that's.
Making the lame man walk.
Oh, very good
Yes,
answer. Oh,
yes.
I'm not taking your answer.
It is a good answer, but not on the board.
What?
What? Okay, so I need to recap. What's on the board? What have we said?
We have turning water into wine, healing the leper. Did we have the blind man?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
Walking on water.
Walking on water. Yep. Okay.
There's 4 of them, and there's 3 more.
Yes.
Okay.
What
so,
are they?
Okay, so I'm gonna go. Raising Lazarus from the dead.
That's a good
Yep.
one. Good answer. Good answer.
Answer
I
number
don't want him
5.
going before me anymore.
5 points right there for.
Good job, Brett. Good job. Good answer.
We got 2 left.
2 left. A miracle that Jesus did.
Mhm.
Oh, did we say feed 5,000?
No,
Oh,
good
good.
That's
answer.
number 2. 25 points.
Really
answer.
good answer.
Good answer.
1 left.
I was thinking he calmed the storm.
That's it.
Oh!
Nice. There it is. Brandon racked up 4 points for that. By getting
But 2
those.
answers.
Yeah.
2 answers.
Nicely done. Nicely
Oh,
done.
wow.
That was a perfect
I don't
round.
know why they're even ranked.
Hey, we got 100 points. 100 points.
You got them all. You got them all.
Honda.
All right.
Okay, how many more questions you got?
Let's do one more.
Okay.
This is fun.
This is fun.
We should just record this.
We can't do that one. What was name a fruit of the spirit? that seems recent.
Generosity.
Nice.
Roasted.
Nice. I like that.
All right, here's some good ones.
It
Here's
makes
some
me
good-
feel.
All right, we're doing plagues of Egypt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's going to go first if we're not going to go and?
You have to go first.
But I just
I
went
think let's let Jim go first
Okay,
so
let's
that
Jim. Okay.
Brett doesn't have one in front of him.
The
Plagues.
Yeah.
The plagues.
Dun dun dun.
Flies.
Oh, that's a good one. Good answer. Good answer.
Tell me it's not on there.
It's not on there. I'm so sorry. It should. There's only 7 answers again,
Okay, so
so
flies are out.
we won't get them all. They won't all be on
Okay.
there.
The grasshoppers.
A good anser.
Loci.
Locusts. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. That is answer number 4.
Yes.
15 points.
Oh, good job. Hey, it's more points than you got last round.
Hey man, this is communal points here.
Communal points.
You are on the team.
Death of the firstborn.
That is on
All
there.
right.
Number 5.
It's not number 1.
What? That's a big one.
Oh, I wonder what number 1 is. I think I have an idea.
I got to go with darkness.
That is number 3 for 20 points.
How is that higher than death of the firstborn?
Because we're not going after like importance or severity. It's
But it
just
would
like
be
But people know.
Yeah. What do people have heard, right?
All right.
Water turned to blood.
that's number 1.
Yeah, that makes
There we
sense.
go.
Number 1 answer. 35
Jim, I
points.
want you to
Good
know I was
job.
going to say the one, and I thought you'd be mad if I did.
I was expecting you to say it. I had a backup.
All right. Brand-Aid.
Brand-Aid.
The
That's what my girls call him.
Mr. Brand-Aid.
Mr. Brand-Aid.
Yep, I put things back together. Right? The The toads.
Oh,
Frogs.
Answer number 2, 25 points.
That was
There
my
we
bad.
go.
Okay.
There we go.
We've got 2 left. So far, we've said water to blood, frogs, darkness, locusts. and
Boils.
get the first one.
Boils.
That's on there. Number
I came
7.
up with that all by myself.
Right. that is 5 points right there.
that. He didn't look at
All right, one more.
blisters.
Wow, so that's a tough one. So I gotta say,
There's a couple to pick from still, but yeah.
there are a couple to pick
There's
from.
only one on the list.
I can see a hand motion that I didn't understand. Now I have to think because my thought was, okay. So is it? I'm gonna say maggots,
It is not.
I didn't know that was one.
Is it?
gnats, or whatever. Like
Gnats.
gnats before flies.
A good answer though.
Good try. Good try.
That's fine.
All right.
That was too
we've got
obscure. I couldn't think of a better one.
One strike left, so this is
Oh, can I redo mine? Can I
No.
redo mine?
get out.
Yours was, you said maggots, right?
Well, yeah, fly, yeah, or fly, or not flies, but the gnats,
Larvae.
gnats, basically smaller.
So, okay, so we've said gnats.
Yeah.
If I would have done it again, I would have done hail. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say it wrong?
You son of a gun.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it.
Oh.
Good answer, Jim.
Jim knows it.
Wow.
You closed it out. Nicely done.
Oh,
Wow.
my gosh.
Wow, I love it.
You know, Brandon, I have a
Good
question.
work.
You just
for
told that. You just stole that from somebody.
I did.
What?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Where is the love?
It's not here.
Oh, okay. That's obvious.
Yes. We.
Why is everybody afraid of love? Love.
Do you love me?
No.
I know. It's fine.
I like you.
Thank you.
Today we're going to talk about tolerance.
We're gonna talk about liking people
Being
No.
in like with them.
and like with them. Yes. So we have come to the end of our series, and we are at love. But love is where we begin when it comes to the fruit of the Spirit. It's not sentimentality. It's not a mood. It's not a feeling, but it's agape, the unshakable, sacrificial, divine love that originates in God, and it flows outward into every part of our lives. So love is not just a fruit among many, but it is the root of all the other fruits. Christopher J.H. Wright writes that love is the fertile soil from which the rest of the fruit grows. So without love, the rest shrivels into self-righteousness or spiritual pride. So this kind of love is not easy, but it's not painless. It grows best in the dark soil, where suffering has softened the heart, where surrender has taken root, and where the Spirit waters us with grace. C.S. Lewis says in his book, The Four Loves, that to love at all is to be vulnerable. To love anything in your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. So, before we get into the main points, what is love, my friends?
Baby, don't hurt me.
Don't hurt me no more. It's a copyright strike.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
You know, I know we're going to read the greatest commandment here sooner or later,
Love it.
right? Love God with everything, love one another as yourself, right? Or love others, your neighbor as yourself, right? Can I be commanded to have a feeling?
That's a good question.
Is love a feeling, I guess, then is what you...
I don't think I can, have a warm feeling for your neighbor. I don't think I can conjure that up.
No.
I may not have to. The Bible doesn't say I have to like my neighbor. It says I have to love my neighbor, right? So I have to make a decision. And I think we live in a world that wants to feel. And that's not what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
It's something much deeper than a feeling. It's almost embodied. Like love has to be embodied in us, has to be in us. As feelings come and go, they're fleeting with our moods or with our circumstances.
Yeah, I cannot be commanded to have a warm, fuzzy feeling. That's just not realistic,
Mhm.
right? So I have to decide to,
That's good.
whether I want to or not.
Yeah.
So I think one working definition of love could be, at least when it comes to loving your neighbor, is pursuing what is best for them. So if we love our neighbor as ourselves, we would want what's best for us. So I think the genius of what Jesus teaches is, how to take care of yourself. Survival, what's best for you. You always seem to know, okay, I know what I need here. I know what I need there. I always know what I need next. I'm very good at knowing my own needs and what I want and what I think is best for me. And so imposing that on somebody else is a very easy way to walk out the love commandment. Because if I need to love the neighbor as myself, well, I almost always know what I what I need or what I want or what I would prefer in a situation. So give it to them. It gets trickier when I don't know how we do that with like loving God, because I don't think loving God is the same. I think loving God is an affection for him that is paramount. I mean, I think there has to be some level of enjoyment in God and enjoyment in people. So I don't have the whole thought worked out yet, but I think on some level we have to want what's best for people. But I think to Jim's point, that doesn't mean we have to necessarily be best friends with everyone or like everyone, but we have to have something deep within us, spirit driven and spirit given, that tells us that I want what's best for you regardless of my personal affinity for you or maybe our personalities.
We have to remember that love is multifaceted. It's not just a feeling, but it is a feeling. It's also not just action, but it is action. It's, love as the verb is to deliberately work out something for another person's good. Love as a noun is more of a feeling, and they both work. They're both part of the definition, I think. I looked it up, but I'm pretty sure. And so I think we have to just keep in mind it's not as black and white as being commanded to feel, or to only just in a cold way, do something for someone else's benefit. I think that in a marriage, love works when two people deliberately work at it and put the effort in and don't just try to let it come easy, but to actually strive for it together. And that striving is love and also creates the feeling of love. You get that kind of, a deeper version of esprit de corps instead of people growing close by fighting, a struggle together. It is two people growing close, struggling to make a partnership work between them. And that creates love as a feeling.
It's interesting. Yeah. Oh, you good?
Go ahead.
Well, it's interesting that because love is the root of all these spiritual gifts and these spiritual fruits, it's the one thing that has been distorted the most by our world and by the devil and by ourselves. So it's interesting that the world would say that love, let me get down to it, love is self-serving and conditional, and it's rooted in desire or attraction, and it's fickle and fleeting and can fade with circumstances, or it often seeks the good of self or only those who deserve it, or based mostly on emotion, chemistry, or physical attraction, are often tolerant of sin or compromise for the sake of comfort. And that's what the world would say that love is. It's, if I feel good, then I deserve what I want. But if I don't feel good, then it's not. There's no sacrifice. There's no skin in the game at that point. But it seems that God would say that love is self-giving and sacrificial. It's rooted in God's nature. It's unchanging and steadfast. It seeks the good of others, even enemies. It involves action, not just emotion, like you said, Andrew. It's guided by truth and righteousness. It's eternal and covenantal. It forgives and bears with others. It's centered on God's glory, and it leads to spiritual transformation. The definition of love that the world would give us leads to, I would say,
Depression,
or it degrades, or you start to take steps backwards. You become more selfish. But God tells you to die to yourself because that's where love begins. The death of yourself and taking on another person.
What Andrew was talking about were the two people working towards common goals, working towards that relationship. I think it is in the midst of that the true feelings of love really come. So in the world's perspective, feelings then actions, right? because you make me feel this way, I'm going to respond this way. Where in what Andrew was describing, I'm going to respond this way because I care about you and the things that you care about. And we're going to work together towards a common goal. And I think you see that in families. Vacations can be a destination, right? And you lose out on the journey. Where really, if you engage in the journey, don't worry about the destination. You'll find this overcoming the same battles together, and those kind of things start to create those feelings of love for one another, that bonding, that community. And I think loving my neighbor means I care about the things that my neighbor cares about, and I make things a priority in that. And my decisions come out of those kind of thoughts.
It's interesting to me that it seems like the way we're describing love kind of mimics worship. In that, like, I remember talking about when we were doing a worship episode that we were focusing on how the emotion and the feeling from worship come as an effect, not the goal, but like a secondary. So the goal was magnify and glorify God and praise his name. And then from that, feelings and mountaintop experiences come, but not as the goal, just as something that is born from it. And I think in the same way, the goal is work for the other person's good. And then the warm feeling comes from that anyway.
Yeah. Even if they're not thankful.
Yeah.
Some people work at being good so they can be appreciated. That's not the love that God's talking about, because now it's about me.
Mm.
So how do I lay myself down and my efforts are not appreciated, and it's okay?
Well, let's start building our foundation on that right now. So love God. So it's the foundation of all fruitfulness. So Matthew, like you said, Matthew 22:37, and he said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and your soul and your mind and your strength." So this is the first greatest commandment. And it's not optional. It's the root system of the Christian life. But real love for God doesn't come from religious performance. It's born out of awe, of wonder, worship in the dark. John Wesley said, "True love for God is not in words or professions, but in a holy desire to please him and delight in his will." So we learn to love God when all lesser loves are stripped away, when comfort is gone, idols are shattered, and all that remains is the faithful presence of our Father. Kristen Elizabeth Couch writes that loving God with your whole heart isn't something you schedule into your day. It's something that happens when you've lost everything else and still find that he is enough. C.S. Lewis says that God is love, and that love works through men, especially through the whole community of Christians. So that's point one of what we're building on and what love is. And then I want to go on to number 2. So love others, the test of real faith. So 1 John 4, verses 7-8 says, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God. And whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love." And so loving God always leads to loving people, not just the agreeable ones, but even those who challenge and stretch us. Love for others is often forged in the furnace of frustration and pain. So Wesley called this the religion of the heart. Love made visible through action. And so he would say a faith that does not work by love is dead. Love is the proof of real Christianity. C.S. Lewis would say that do not waste time bothering whether you love your neighbor. Act as if you did. Love does not mean mere tolerance. It means bearing with, forgiving, and serving. Richard Sibbes would say that where there is love, there is a melting of the heart, a disposition to give and forgive. In a world divided by suspicion and selfishness and rage and love becomes a revolution. C.H. Wright would say that love is the countercultural expression of the Spirit's power in a world that has forgotten how to care. And now I'll leave it to you.
Want to go back to the greatest commandment? The second commandment is like the first commandment, right? So it's like you can't separate them. So, and that's to love your neighbor as yourself. Well, what if the greatest way to love God is to love my neighbor? My number one worship to God is loving my neighbor.
I don't think I'd agree with that. I think we should love God for what he has done and who he is, and the manifestation of loving God. Or maybe we're saying it the same way. I mean, same way but different way. We're saying the same thing but differently. But
I think that loving your neighbor is part of the obedience that I think is part of the love for God.
Yeah, right. You can't separate it. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That it is definitely, if you're not loving your neighbors, then you're not being obedient to God. So yeah, it's still part of it.
Right.
Enough so that when Jesus was asked what's the greatest commandment, he gave two.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like he had to combine them. He's like, yeah, this is the greatest, and the second is like it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things that Branden was reading there is, that I love God because he first loved me. And I really don't have it within me to love the people around me. So if God isn't pouring, if his love isn't poured into me, I'm not capable.
Mm-hmm.
And so really I need to be open to that. And I need to be not just open, maybe even just searching for it because so that if that could overflow out of me as opposed to trying to conjure it up when I need it.
Well, there was a bit of commentary I read on why Jesus would have said that the greatest commandment is love God and love your neighbor. And at the time, in his time, there were, I'm assuming, a sect of high Jewish leaders that were saying you have, when he says you have heard that you should hate your enemy, Jesus came and flipped that on its head. Like, no, you are to love your enemy. And so I think that was a response to obviously bad theology and doctrine that was being spewed out to common people who were illiterate and could not read and had no idea about scripture and holiness only through Jewish leaders.
Yeah, they were having everything read to them.
Mm-hmm. And so Jesus came and flipped that on its head, but he just put it back in order of what God said. Is it in Deuteronomy, the Shema? You are to love the Lord your God with all your heart and all that.
Yeah, chapter 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting you quote that because that's in that section in the Sermon on the Mount where he quotes the Old Testament, like you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery. But when he gets to love your enemies, you can even look, most of your Bibles, if you have like a reference Bible, say you shall love your neighbor. And that gets quoted, it's like Leviticus 19 or whatever. And that says, and hate your enemy. And you'll notice that and hate your enemy has no like cross-reference to the Old Testament because it's from the law.
It's not there.
It's from the teaching. You're right. So it's a teaching.
It was made up.
Yeah. And so he's saying, okay, not only have you heard this, but hate your enemy, you're missing the whole point of all, which is again the whole point of the, who is my neighbor, who is my neighbor, that whole parable that comes later in the gospel. I would say, going back to what Jim said about like trying to conjure up love, I found a quote from John Bunyan, which I really like, and he said, "Run, John, run, the law commands, but gives us neither feet nor hands. Far better news the gospel brings, it bids us fly and gives us wings."
I like that. That's
So it's like, so the law says do this, but you have no ability to do so. But the New Testament says there are far greater promises, fly, but now you get wings. And so to love God and to love neighbor, like that is a lofty command. And given, if it's just the law, it says do this or die, we're dead because we're not going to be able to do it. But the good news of the gospel is we don't have to manifest the love in our own lives, but we receive that again because God gives it to us, as Jim said, and then that causes us to be able to love, like you just read, the hard, the difficult, and all that. Because, and again, that's where I think typically when we think about loving our neighbor, our minds go right away to, well, who are the ones I don't love? It's almost like a guilt complex. It's like, okay, we're going to talk about loving our neighbor. Okay, well, I got to get in front of the one that I don't. And why can I justify that? And again, I don't think we're justifying anything, but I think what we're saying is you need supernatural help to love anyone. Like I think the thing that we don't want to fall into, the trap we don't want to fall into is there are some people that I can love in my own strength and that honors God. And then there's those that I can't love in my own strength and I ask God for help. And that's when like all of the love that we have for anyone, if it's not rooted in the gospel, if it's not rooted in the power of the Holy Spirit, like we're not worshiping God in that. So again, like what I liked about what Jim said, even though I initially said, I don't know if I agree with it, is loving your neighbor is the greatest good of God because it comes from God. If we truly love our neighbor correctly, we will love him with the love that God has given us, and that glorifies God. So in that way, true loving your neighbor is the second greatest thing, or second commandment. It's the greatest thing we can do. So I didn't understand what you were saying, and now I completely affirm what you're saying. And I was like, good call, Jim. I missed it. I wasn't thinking fast enough tonight.
That's good.
Because the world taints love so much, like how do we battle as Christians? How do we battle love? I mean, there's the ditch of, well, love is an evil word now. We don't say love.
Yeah.
We don't talk about the love of Christ. We don't talk about love at all. And
Who's saying that?
I've heard that.
I could name a few names that you would know.
I don't want to know them.
I mean,
They dumb.
well, I could name a few names that you know.
Well, if you're one of those people, you're dumb.
Enough said. I think we can move on.
Yeah.
Next subject.
Well, all right, go on.
That's a good question.
No, you're
but
right.
Like, there's also the other side where all they talk about is the love of God, and I mean those ministries exist as well, and then they don't talk about anything else at all. And like, how do we balance that as Christians, especially since the world has tainted the word love so much? Like, oh my gosh, I love these nachos. Do you? Do you?
Yes.
You like them.
Don't question my love of nachos.
You deeply like
You know,
them.
In a situation, actually within the last week, a kid says to an adult, or an adult was giving instructions, and the kid said, "If you cared about me, you wouldn't tell me what to do."
I had that said to me today.
And which is interesting.
Not about my child. someone else.
As soon as I heard that, I'm like,
Wait a minute.
well, if someone cares about you, wouldn't they tell you if your fly is down? And then I stopped and I thought a second. I said, "Hey, your fly is down."
Thank you.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like what you're doing and saying, you're looking foolish.
Yeah.
And so love is saying the hard things.
It's true.
It's interesting saying the hard things in love or in kindness and gentleness.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all coming back to these fruit or self-control. So you're not just flying off the handle on anybody. You're coming sober-minded. And because you want the best for that person. If they are in sin, if they are stumbling, you want them to get back on the narrow road. You don't want them to be roaming around in the thorns and the bristles and all that.
Yeah.
You want them to be on the narrow road. And yeah, I think there was a short story that kind of it mirrored who is it? Matthew Henry's The Pilgrim's Progress?
John Bunyan.
Was it John Bunyan? Okay, they feel like one of the
6 of 1 half.
I said they feel like one of the same.
Old
But
dead guys.
It mirrored that. It kind of modernized that,
Mm-hmm.
and it talked about the sage, which would be Jesus, who was leading this disciple on the narrow way, and the disciples looking all over the place, seeing people that have fallen off the way and going backwards, and then he looked at the rabbi's hand, and he sees like scars and snake bites and all these things, knowing that he had tried to pull people back, but this wasn't successful, or he tried to block people from those things. And I think in some ways that's what we like. If we've been down the road longer, we should be saying, "Hey, I've seen this. I've seen where this goes. I love you. I do not want you to go on that road. I have been down that road." But I think in this culture, we're too nervous to step out because because people take things differently now. We have a very high sensitive culture, and I don't think, and it's not correction. It's just like, hey, I see what you're doing, and I really don't want this for you.
Nowadays, they've redefined what your fly being down means.
Mhm.
So, like,
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
it's your own truth.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mm.
you're right.
I would say, on top of all that, you asked the question about ministries that lean into love. I think a real safe way to protect your ministry is to not give any attribute of God any more weight than any other attribute, because unlike baking a cake where it's like, I've got a quarter cup of flour and a half pound of sugar, God is not pieces or parts.
Did you just say a half pound?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of sugar.
Make
welcome.
it jelly.
And
Hello,
that's
hello,
essentially
diabetes.
that's essentially what they do with love. They take the sweetness
Yeah.
and they make it.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I was derailing what you said.
No,
I'm
you're
sorry.
welcome to do so.
I'm sorry.
But the point is that Jesus is not parts. So he's not part love or part justice or part mercy. He is the full embodiment of all of it. So
Yeah.
when 1 John 4 says God is love, we could also say God is justice, God is mercy, God is kind, God is gentle. God is what he is, and there's no changing and there's no variation. And so one easy way is to not then, because we want to catapult God's love above everything else, because we don't want to be held up to his standard or need his mercy or need his grace or need his salvation. We don't want to think about his wrath. We don't want to think about his justice, because those things don't, my sinful flesh doesn't want it. So I think a safe way to protect your ministry, to protect your talking about God, is to remind yourselves that God is multifaceted and each attribute is equal, and one doesn't outweigh any other, because that would imply there is a deficiency in him or there's an imbalance in him, and there is not.
I love that.
I think you and I talked about this on Thursday, but at church we're in Psalm 37. And so Psalm 37 verse 6 says, "He will bring forth righteousness as the light and your justice as the noonday." And so when you and I talked a bit about it, Brett, that love and God's justice go hand in hand. They are not unequal.
Mhm.
And so when we think of love as righteousness, or righteousness coming as the sun rising, that means light is coming back from, like, when there was darkness, now there's light. And then when we think of justice as the noonday sun, the hottest point of the day, that means, yes, God loves us, but he's just, and he's going to make things right. And that should be good news for people. That shouldn't be like, they're not opposites.
Mhm.
Like, God loves us, so he treats us the way that we should be treated, the way that is fair, if you want to say. Like, even if we don't think it's fair, I'm like, no, God is good.
No, he's fair and just.
Yeah.
He's equitable.
Yeah.
He's equitable.
Yes, he's equitable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So yes. So I think they, like, we don't want to be heavy-handed on either side.
Mhm.
We want to be equal, because God is all things.
I would also say, like, that doesn't mean that we should skew out of the ditch and say, well, I guess because I think what you said earlier, well, love is a little murky. Let's talk about truth. Let's talk about justice. Let's talk about wrath. Let's talk about all those things that I cherish. I cherish that our God is just and he has wrath. And I cherish that because he has poured that wrath on Christ that I might be saved. And so I love God's wrath, and I love that he doesn't brush sin to the side. Also, are you dealing with somebody or a situation that's unjust? God will make that right, either in this life or the next. That's a promise that you can bank on. But then we're like, I don't want to talk about love because it's a little too squishy. Or for me, it can't be that good. His love can't be that good, right?
Mm.
It is. It's so good.
It is.
I mean, read the verses. God, for God so loved the world that he sent his only son. I mean, and all that stuff in 1 John. It's insane to try and process, like, God's love. It's incredible. And we don't talk about it enough for fear of it getting mushy and like, well, then now we don't talk about sin. Okay, no one's saying that.
Right.
To Andrew's point, who are these people? Like, let's not talk about, are you like that with your wife? It's like, I can't tell you how much I love you too much, because then you might not, continue to make my lunch before I go to work. Okay, dude.
I say the king of the hill.
That's hilarious because the people that I'm thinking of probably would say that.
Well, I'm just saying, like
If you weren't my son, I'd hug you.
100%.
So, Bryce,
Yeah.
I think the answer to your original question of finding balance between the two is to look for a balance between the two.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
Exactly.
That's the secret.
I appreciate that.
That's the sauce, man.
Thank you.
I do think when we see something that's amiss, right, we jump to the other end of the teeter-totter. right?
Yeah,
So
which
we
is
can
dangerous.
we can see that we're, as Christians, we can come out with the hammer and we're beating everybody over the head. So we jump on the other end of the teeter-totter and we talk about love, God's love, God's love, God's love, which I am like, it's endless, right? It is that good, right? But at the same time, right, there's the other end of the teeter-totter, and probably the best place to live is in the center.
So how do we get to this point? So we deny ourselves. And so where the love of God will get real into us. So we die to ourselves. So Luke 9:23 says, "And he said to all, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily, follow me." Love is not self-fulfillment, it's self-denial. And that's hard in a world obsessed with self-expression and self-preservation. So to love like Jesus is to lay down our rights, our preferences, even our pain for the sake of another. So Christopher J.H. Wright says, the fruit of the Spirit grows most clearly when we move away from the self-centeredness and into God-centered, other-oriented living. This doesn't mean being passive. It means being a disciple. Thomas Watson says, self-love is the root of sin. Self-denial is the root of grace. So C.S. Lewis cautions, love begins to be a demon the moment it begins to be a god. To deny ourselves is not to become less human. It is to become more like Christ, the one who gave himself for us.
Whoa. That C.S. Lewis quote is
I know. I was just thinking about that.
that's kind of brutal.
Well, yeah,
I mean, that's the one ditch. I mean,
It's really metal.
it is very metal.
it is
Love begins
love
to be a demon the moment it begins to be a god. So we make love our god.
Mm-hmm.
which the world has done.
That's one end of that teeter-totter.
Oh,
Well, when we
And it seems like the nice one. That's a trick.
Wow.
and I think it goes into that gooey feeling, right? Of like, I want to feel loved, which is I want to feel overly liked and comfortable, and I don't want to deny myself because I want to feel loved. Yeah, like just look at the world. Like look how the modern world has destroyed love. Love, like, you're gonna let me be myself. You're gonna let me choose who I want to be, and you're gonna like it. And if you don't like it, I'm gonna cancel you, or I'm going to call you a bigot because you won't affirm my love. And that's not good. That's not love. Love is sacrificial. That means you die to yourself for the betterment of the other person that you're going to be in a relationship with. And that comes with the church too. Oh, you don't believe in my doctrinal or theological outcomes here? Well, then you're canceled. I'm going to go make my own ditch. I'm like, no, that's not what it's for. Like we have to hold our hands. Like we have to I'm skipping. We have to be set with the closed doctrines, right? Closed-handed doctrines. And there's open-handed doctrines that are up for, translation. And that's okay. And so we have to live with one another in those things and agree to disagree on certain things.
Yeah.
We all speak English.
We do.
Yeah.
Some better than others.
I stumble. For some reason, I feel like I don't often hear what the other person's trying to say, even though I hear the words, and I feel often that I'm not being heard, even though I've said the words. And I think that's true for all of us. I don't think our language is adequate enough to express everything. So we'll say the same. We'll have an argument saying the exact same thing different ways.
Oh my
Literally
gosh.
just had this. This happened to me tonight with Becca. I love my wife. Don't get me wrong, but we are sitting here saying the same exact thing, and I'm looking at her like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "This," and I'm like, "No, this." And 20 minutes later, we're saying the same thing. What the heck is wrong with us? We've been saying the same thing for 20 minutes and arguing for 20 minutes for no reason.
So how often does it happen and we don't know it happened?
Right.
And we're angry because this happened, right? And we're not loving our neighbor very well. So maybe just taking a breath and it's okay in the conversation right now, we can come back.
Yeah, if it's going to sit there and happen in my house with the person that I am closest to, it is absolutely going to happen with somebody that I don't have as close of a relationship with, because people are just different. We think different. We do different. We live different. And so your mindset is different than my mindset, and we don't think on the same wavelengths. We could be saying the same things and completely just arguing for no reason. We could be not loving each other well because of lack of words.
And then your bass player goes and sits on the amp.
So with, how many? I mean, I'm assuming.
so much.
I'm assuming if you've spoken in front of people, you have prayed that prayer. God, help me say the right things.
I avoid speaking in front of people as much as possible.
But I got to thinking about it. And I've added to that prayer, God, translate it for me, so that they can hear what you're trying to say. Just use it. I'm gonna do my best. You use it.
Stephen Covey, in his book 7 Habits of a Highly Effective Leader, says, "Seek first to understand, then be understood."
Oh, that's good.
You know how to respond then, or at least have some idea of how to respond.
Yeah, seek first to understand, and then seek to be understood. Most people are like, listen to me, understand me. No, why don't you start by understanding what's being said to you, and then you can be understood.
Yeah, there are basically two things everybody wants. Number one, to be loved and understood, or to be loved and accepted is number one. To be understood is number two, right? So if we start there, and as Brett pointed out, let's be the one that tries to understand. I may not understand, but I can try, right? And if feeling loved and accepted is your number one thing in life, then I'm going to love you and I'm going to accept you, right? I'm going to care.
To piggyback kind of on loving and accepting and understanding, I think kind of the popular belief, our cultural background, our upbringing does affect the way that we see things. We might see something as, well, that's not a big deal, but because of this person's upbringing, it could be a big deal. And so I think that comes to the understanding and active listening and wanting to accept this person, even though it might seem silly to us. Because there's things that I get all worked up about that someone's like, that's not a big deal, man. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, what's a big deal to me? Like, I don't understand why it's such a big deal. And so that's a denial of ourselves, and just to listen to others and to understand.
I'm still thinking about the quote. And so love, like, I know we took a detour.
I love that you're still thinking about
But I want to say there's two things that I think of when I read this. First thing would be, I don't like the God of the Old Testament because he's mean. I prefer the God of the New Testament because he's loving and permissive.
Yeah.
Or Rob Bell's book, Love Wins. At the end of it all, everybody gets saved because God's love is above all other. See, that's what happens when you put all of God's God's attributes are beneath his love. We could never have a God that judges rightly because he's ultimately love.
It's goofy. Some goofy nonsense.
That totally violates relationship. 100% violates relationship, because in real love, I have to have the ability to walk away and say I don't want to be part of this. Otherwise, the relationship's not real. I'm just a robot. I love you, right? And if
none of it matters because love wins in the end, whatever that means.
So,
and admittedly, I haven't read the book.
Why all the stuff then? Why does everything happen if it's just going to all end the same way?
Is that some Christian author? I don't know who he is.
Rob Bell. He used to be.
Don't use the word Christian.
Christian adjacent at this point.
Well,
Oprah.
It's just
Christian.
it's just really funny because Love Wins is the entire argument of the LGBTQ community.
I'm sure he's in it.
And
or for it.
Okay. I mean that is the entire argument is, well, love won.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Did it? Yeah. It's just interesting.
If only there was a chapter in the Bible that talked about love that could give us any sort of clarity on all of this.
You're talking about that wedding one? I've made that joke. I made that joke too many times. I'm sorry.
That's if you go back to the other episode on love that we have.
Do one more.
What?
Do one more.
Okay. It'll be next
Not
week.
right now.
It'll
Yeah.
be next week.
Let it simmer.
So on top of the other things that it says about love, it does say, it does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth.
Yeah.
So love is tethered to truth at all times. So love isn't permissive. Love has strict guidelines. We are to love what is true, and that's the truth and the reality that God provides. And we do not love wrongdoing, which is anything that the Bible prohibits. So love is, there are strings attached to love because God loves in a specific way, in a way that's in line with his character. And that's the kind of love we need to have and to give and to follow.
Mm-hmm. So we've had love God, we've had love our neighbor, we've had deny ourselves. And so what do we do when we deny ourselves? We serve. We serve others because we love them. So Galatians 5:13 says, "For you were called to freedom, brothers. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another." Service isn't weakness. It's kingdom strength. And when it flows from love, it becomes sacred. Love serves behind the scenes. It picks up after others. It sacrifices time, convenience, and recognition. Kristen Elizabeth Couch says, service that lasts must come from love, not obligation. Otherwise, it becomes duty without delight. C.S. Lewis emphasizes the ordinary beauty of this as well. So the world does not need more Christian books. What it needs is more Christians writing good books. And so love doesn't need to be flashy to be powerful. And John Wesley says, do all the good you can by all the means you can, as long as ever you can. And so a final reflection, love is the work of the Spirit. We cannot manufacture this kind of love. It's not a personality trait. It's not a moral checklist. It's the fruit of the Spirit, grown slowly in surrendered hearts. 1 Corinthians 13:7 says, love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. So if you feel tired, if you've loved and not seen fruit, if you've served and felt unseen, take heart. You are not planting in vain. You are growing something eternal. So before we end all this, what does it mean to serve others in the fruit of love?
In a way that benefits them. Not like they get something now, but in the long run. Something that draws them closer to Christ would be the ultimate service.
Would it mean showing up, even if it's the same conversation every time you show up?
Absolutely.
If it's for their good.
Mm-hmm. Would it be stacking the chairs after a get-together without getting recognition?
Yes.
Would it be vacuuming up the dirty floor and not like gloating about it?
Yes.
Yeah. It's sacrifice. It's sacrificial.
Again, I ask, who's gloating about vacuuming?
Some people could be. There could be people out there that do it.
Look at me serve.
I would say also without complaining.
I'm humble.
I'm humble.
Don't worry, guys. I got the floors. I got them. You guys go. I got it.
Going places and talking to people that we're uncomfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that we might not see eye to eye on.
What was the question?
So what is it? What was the question?
What does that sacrificial service look like?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, what you guys said. It's good.
You were reading something.
I was.
What were you reading?
I was thinking about, and I think it's true, is love is not in any of the lists of the Spirit. So there's 4 places in the Bible where you find where Paul talks about spiritual gifts, or the New Testament does. You've got Romans 12, 1 Corinthians 12, Ephesians 4. 1 Peter 4, 2 12s, 2 4s. Help you remember it. And there are a lot of different attributes. Doesn't help. Sorry. 12s and 4s. Each list is different. So there's a little bit of overlap, but none of them are the same. So there's a wide array of gifts. It's obviously not all of them. But what's interesting is that while love is a fruit of the Spirit, it is not a gift in any of those lists. Which why I was distracted is I'm thinking is there something there to that? Is there something to the fact that love is not listed in any of the lists of the gifts in any of those locations?
In Corinthians 12, right? Yeah, 13 is what talks
Is the love,
right?
yep.
So in 12, it gives this list, right? But the very last line of 12 is, let me show you a better way. And then he goes into what love is. So he's saying all these gifts are great, speak in tongues, or speak the language of angels, but if you don't love, then it's all just a bunch of noise. So he's saying all these gifts are pointless without love. Then that's the love chapter. Chapter 13 is what we call the love chapter, and he goes through this. And then he picks up the gifts again in 14. He comes back to the gifts. So it's almost like he says, wait. Before we go any further with the gifts that God gives us, we have to understand this. Love is paramount. It's foundational. All this other stuff is just stuff.
I wonder if he doesn't mention it because maybe when he's writing, he's like, no, this is obvious that love has to be the center of these other gifts.
I think it might be even more than that. I think that it's everybody loves something already. Love is not something that has to be given to us. We just have to aim at the right place. So, like, we don't all have discernment. We can't all teach. We can't all preach. But we all love something. It's just whether or not we're loving the right thing. So it's not a spiritual gift because we all have it.
Yeah.
We just aren't focusing it in the right spot.
That's good. I like that.
I like it. I think, Jim, you're right on the money. I didn't think about the connection between 12 and 13. I mean, it's the bedrock. It's the bedrock. And I think that's another thing that as we're finishing up the series, I think one big takeaway for me is to be reminded that there are things that we do in the Christian life, and there are things that we are in the Christian life. And I've always thought about that because if you read the chapters on like what is biblical eldership, to be a leader in the church, there's like 8 or 9 things, and then only one tangible activity that you need to be good at, which is being able to teach. Otherwise, the rest of it is character. And so we've been doing the fruit of the Spirit, which is about what to be. And so what I don't think we want our listeners to conflate is being and doing. You know, we're commanded to do things. We have a gift. We're commanded to use it and to serve people with it. That's what we do. But what we be is love, joy, peace, patience. That's who we are. That's what undergirds. That's what we are as Christians. That's what we are to be. Live in a manner worthy of your call is to live in a manner that is to be like Christ, and that is the fruit of the Spirit. And then out of that comes love of neighbor, using of your gift. So like we can't conflate, like I need to do more gentleness. I need to do more this or that. Like, yes, you need to be more gentle, but you need to be, right? That's even how I said it. Like be, a state of being. It's a verb of being. It's not a verb of doing. You have to be it. It indwells you. It fills you. It's Spirit filled, because then we act out of who we are. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Out of the abundance of the heart, we do what we do. So, anyway, that's what I was thinking while you were asking a question.
No, that's perfect. So, as we ended the 7 deadly sins, I want to just make it quick, I guess. But how we're wrapping up this series of the fruits of the Spirit. I know personally for me, I was anticipating this episode the most because it's the centrifuge of all of the other fruits of the Spirit. But I'd like to know what has stuck out to you guys individually when it comes to the fruits of the Spirit and kind of actually getting through it and then finishing it and like really churning it around.
I think I said this in the last episode or the one before, I don't know. But Brett had said something that really stuck out to me, and that the fruits of the Spirit are evidence of the Spirit in you. And the more you are sanctified and become more like Christ, these things become more evident in your life. And that is far greater than any gift that could ever be given. We just talked about it, especially with love. All these gifts are great, cool things, but without love, they are nothing. So with all of these gifts, the Spirit is moving and obviously is changing who you are to be more like God.
I'm just thinking back about how we spoke about love on every episode, just how much it tied into this. And I think the same way we talked about in the 7 deadly sins, how pride was kind of the thing crawling around in every other sin. And this one, love is the root system that's connecting all of them together, which I know doesn't work for the fruit picture very well because it's part of the tree instead. But it's if the fruit has a pit, it's the pit, it's the center, it's the life force, it's where a new tree grows from eventually. It's the seed, it's the life in it.
What I've learned is that I feel like I look more like the 7 deadly sins than I look like the fruit of the Spirit. I just would very much love to be marked more by the fruit of the Spirit than by the 7 deadly sins. I mean, just in my life, with my tongue, the things I say, my response to stimuli, I want to be more full of the Spirit and less of the 7 deadly sins.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thing that came up is more per episode because you had paired them together. So we talked about 2 at a time. And each time I was struck by how those 2 fit together. When you first read them, you go, those don't even fit, but they seem to always fit. And so I think I can't go back and point this, and this, but that's what stuck out to me the most.
Yeah, go listen to our episodes and you'll see what Jim's talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Also, check us out on social media.
Social media.
No,
That's at the beginning.
that plug already happened.
Hang on.
It did already happen.
Yeah, Branden,
What
about
did you learn?
What about you?
Oh, man.
You wrote it, man. What'd you learn while you're writing this?
I'm always looking ahead. So with this series, I had the temptation, which I mean I planned ahead, but I had the temptation to just kind of write it and discard it and not really think much about it. But I had noticed that I had gotten into a rhythm on Saturday mornings, going to the gym, pulling my notes out and reading them again. And then I'm like, okay, so here's what we have. How can I be more like this? And so I would ask God, hey, would you point this out to me when I'm not being this? So I see it clearly. And there have been times where I'm driving in my work van, going up to get something to eat, not being self-controlled. And I felt that kind of nudge, like, hey, self-control. Or when I'm not patient with my wife or my kids, hey, you're not being patient. And I'm like, so I feel like God has used this to refine me more and more. And I'm like, God, I don't want to sin. I'm tired of how much I sin. Like, would you help me be a different person? Will you help me be more like you? And that comes to my mind a lot. And I'm keeping that in front of me because, man, the consequences of sin when it comes to my spiritual health and relationally, I'm just like, I'm tired of it. I'm just getting sick of it. I don't want to do it. I would hope that I'm almost 20 years into this walk with God that I'm like, can I just be better than what I was when I started? You know, like, can we just move forward and die to, I don't want to do this anymore, God. And I'm like, I want to have fun. I want to enjoy you. So help me enjoy you, even if it looks silly to the world. I'm like, at least I'm full of joy in the Spirit. So I mean, yeah, which I look forward to our next series, but because I've got that in my mind too. But so I wrote a benediction and I sent it over to Andrew, and I would love it if you read it.
Father, Son, and Spirit, give us a heart to care for those in the margins, to show grace to those who are difficult, and to love all we come in contact with. Amen.
It's been Outsiders Podcast. See ya.
Thanks for listening. We love you.
Bye.